Howdy y'all, I'm Brylan. In this video, I'm going to show you the immediate response from the president of Colombia when the U.S. threatened retaliation after the president of Colombia refused to take back their illegals. The plane was actually in the air about to land in Colombia when the president said, "No way." I'm going to show you exactly what Gustavo Petro did immediately after these retaliation efforts by the U.S. It's quite incredible, and it's really important that all Americans know this because it affects them. But I'm also going to show you this absolutely stunning response from Gustavo Petro that not a lot of people are talking about, surprisingly. I'm going to show you the just incredible lunacy that's coming out of this man's mouth that would have horrible repercussions on Americans if we just continue to sit back and do nothing. Real quick, would you consider hitting that thumbs up button? You know when you like this video, you're not agreeing with the insanity, but you're helping push this video out to more people to help spread the truth. So we've all probably heard by now that there was retaliation coming after Colombia's Marxist president refuses deportation flights. Listen to this real quick, and then I'm going to show you the immediate response by Colombia after the U.S. threatened retaliation. This is what Gustavo Petro initially had in response. He said, "I deny the entry of American planes carrying Colombian migrants into our territory because it's up to the U.S. to establish a protocol for the dignified treatment of migrants before they receive them." You know, there's never going to be an actual level that's reached that they claim is dignified treatment of these migrants. And I'm going to show you why in just a minute. It's just stunning, the insanity of these people. This is what Marco Rubio had to say, and then I'm going to show you Trump's response. President Trump has made it clear that under his administration, America will no longer be lied to nor taken advantage of. It is the responsibility of each nation to take back their citizens who are illegally present in the United States in a serious and expeditious manner. Colombian President Petro had authorized flights and provided all the needed authorizations and then canceled his authorization when the planes were in the air. As demonstrated by today's actions, we are unwavering in our commitment to end illegal immigration and bolster America's border security. Very strong response from Marco Rubio there. This is what the retaliation from the U.S. included. Trump said, "I was just informed that the flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Pedro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and public safety of the United States. So I've directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. Emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the United States. In 1 week, the 25% tariffs will be raised to 50%. That is wild." And then you saw that Petro, the president of Colombia, tried to retaliate by saying, we're going to put tariffs on you, America. Well, that didn't really work out for him, as you're going to see in just a second. A travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and all allies and supporters. Visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. Enhanced customs and border protection inspections of the Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. IEEPA, Treasury, banking, and financial sanctions to be fully imposed. Well, this is the immediate response after the full retaliation threat sunk in with the president of Colombia. It says Colombia's president reverses course following U.S. retaliation after it blocked deportation flights. Not only that, but Colombia's president is now sending his own presidential plane to pick up illegal aliens. Colombia President Gustavo Petro, who is a former Marxist terrorist, reversed course on Sunday after he blocked 2 U.S. flights from landing in the country that were carrying criminal illegal aliens from his country. So these were criminals that the Biden administration adopted, essentially, from Colombia. The Colombian president thought they were rid of them for good. That's how they deal with their criminals, is they just send them to the U.S. because we were just welcoming them with open arms. It says the government of Colombia, under the direction of President Gustavo Petro, has arranged the presidential plane to facilitate the dignified return of the compatriots who were going to arrive in the country today in the morning, coming from the deportation flights. Pedro's office said in a statement, this measure responds to the government's commitment to guarantee decent conditions. In no way have Colombians, as patriots and subjects of rights, have not been and will be banished from Colombia territory. Real quick, before I show you Gustavo Pedro's stunning response and threats to America, I want you to see this X post. This is fantastic. This puts it so well. Listen. To fully understand just how remarkable today's exchange with Colombia was, you need to understand how Washington, D.C. has traditionally worked through these sorts of issues and the different way it works now under Trump. I'll illustrate. The traditional approach is Colombia announced it will not take our repatriation flights. 2. On Monday, the State Department convenes an interagency task force with DOD, NSC, DEA, INS, ICE, Commerce, Treasury, and Homeland Security. The task force meets for 4 days and develops a position paper. The position paper is rejected by the Secretary of State, who is unhappy that the insufficient equity considerations are built into the process. So insane. The task force reconvenes a week later to redevelop 3 new equity-centric courses of action and create a new position paper. The process is delayed a week because Washington, D.C. gets 3 inches of snow. This is hilarious. This is exactly how it would have gone down, by the way. Secretary of State approves the new position paper for interagency circulation, and considerable input is received from the heads of other departments. So the task force must reconvene. The original 3 proposal responses, courses of action, are scrapped in favor of a new 4th course of action that achieves the worst aspects of the 3 prior courses of action but satisfies the interagency. Someone in the state who disagrees leaks to the Washington Post, who writes a story about how ineffective the presidential administration is. The White House chief of staff sets up a session 3 days later to brief the president, who approves the new 4th course of action. Over a month after the issue is first raised, the State Department Public Affairs Officer holds a press conference announcing that Colombia has agreed to try to send fewer criminals into the U.S. and everyone declares victory. Does that sound like pure insanity to you? Okay, good, because it is. That's how our government works. This is the type of garbage that they conclude with. They go through all of this month, 2, 3, years-long processes in some cases. And then the way that the government would declare victory is that not by Colombia taking back their criminals, but the U.S. would claim victory in the fact that Colombia now says they'll send fewer criminals into the U.S. This is pure insanity, and it's an illustration. But it's an illustration based on reality. Colombia announces it will not take the repatriation flights. After a par 5 third hole where he goes 1 under par, Trump uses his iPhone to post on social media as to how the USA will destroy Colombia's economy if they do not do what the USA demands. By the time Trump gets to the par 4 6th hole, Colombia's president has agreed to repatriate all the illegal Colombians in his own plane, which he will pay for. Trump finishes 3 under par and goes to the clubhouse for a Diet Coke. And it ends with, see the difference? It's called leadership. Now, not only is Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, the radical Marxist, the radical leader that is destroying his country, not only does he like to repost things from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, he also likes to make extremely disturbing, weird, awkward posts on X and then pin them as the top X posts on his account. Now, this is going to have to be translated here, so it's not going to sound all that smooth, but that's okay. Not going to read the whole thing because it's rather lengthy and kind of babbly, but he starts off with, Trump, I don't really like traveling to the US. It's a bit boring. Clearly, he's setting the stage for what's supposed to sound like a threatening, I'm tougher than you type of message. He goes on later to say, I don't like your oil, Trump. You're going to wipe out the human species because of greed. Maybe one day, over a glass of whiskey, which I accept, despite my gastritis, we all needed to know that, we can talk frankly about this, but it's difficult because you consider me an inferior race and I'm not, nor is any Colombian. Wait a minute. Nor is any Colombian. Says the guy who didn't want to take back all of the criminals that he tried to pawn off on the USA. Now, it's true, they are not an inferior race, but if he actually believed in every Colombian, then why isn't he taking back the Colombians we're trying to give back to them? He ends with, I am informed that you impose a 50% tariff on the fruits of our human labor to enter the United States, and I do the same. He basically tries to make Colombia sound like the pinnacle of the world, like the entire world relies on them. And the fact that the U.S. isn't accepting their criminals anymore is a detriment to all of humanity. You can go read this entire post, again, on his personal X account. But clearly, after that inspiring post, he caved. Because he doesn't actually believe anything he said, but he is afraid of strong leadership in America, which is exactly what the world needs. Strong leadership in America. Listen to this encouragement real quick from 1 Peter chapter 3. Starting in verse 14. But even if you should suffer for the sake of righteousness, you are blessed. And do not fear their fear. And do not be troubled, but sanctify Christ as Lord in your hearts, always being ready to make a defense to everyone who asks you to give an account for the hope that is in you, yet with gentleness and fear, having a good conscience, so that in the thing in which you are slandered, those who disparage your good conduct in Christ will be put to shame. Let's never stop desiring to honor the Lord. Let's never stop desiring to stand on truth, and not just desiring to do so, but living it, doing it, acting upon it. Let's never forget that the one who resides in us, the Holy Spirit, will lead us in all truth, in all goodness, and he will protect us against any slandering, against anything or any attacks that try to come against us from those who hate the truth, from those who hate God. But hey, let me know your thoughts about all this in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. And please hit that subscribe button. Join this community. I would love to hear from you on a regular basis. And also, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button, you know, when you like this video, to get pushed out to more people, and it would really help spread the truth. All right, I'll see you in the next video.